Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. This week will be it transcends the word transformational. I'm not sure if there's a word in the English language. You've seen recently in the newspapers, if you've been paying attention to anything, interest rates are up about 100% in the last 8 to 10 months. Silicon Valley banks crashed. First Republic is in the midst of being crashed. The Swiss bank has been bailed out. And if you've paid attention to me, which most of you haven't, I love when you tell me I've read and listened to everything you've ever done, Mr. Peña. That's why you're failures. Not just because you have a proclivity for exaggeration, like my old buddy, Mr. Trump, but if you think that you've read or listened to or seen or whatever the right word is, everything I've done, you're delusional because you haven't. Because if you have and you're still here, this week probably won't help you. I'm going to say it again real slow. How many people in the room, English is not your primary language? Okay. So when I say, I'm just saying it real slow, that's the reason. It's because the way that you've tried to pattern yourself after QLA has been inadequate, or you don't need to be here. I told a few people that I had one-on-one with today, 99.9% of all the people that have made the $1 trillion, I've never met. Never been here. I would know them if they pissed on my foot. Yet the billionaires that we've created have all been here. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm sure if there's a billionaire, and please, YouTubers, please tell me if I'm wrong, YouTuber that has created $1 billion of generational wealth without being here, please tell me. To date, nobody has. Although we've created a lot of money. But getting back to the banks failing, if you listen to me about 10 months ago, 12 months ago, and I said as far back as 3 years ago last month, when the great Corona descended upon us, these were just the beginnings. These were the tips of the iceberg. And since Silicon Valley, and we're going to talk about this all in detail, Silicon Valley Bank lent to a little more than 50% of all the tech startups in the world. And that means other banks lent the other 50, right? Or put up the other 50, if they were venture capital or private equity. And so now those banks and those entities don't have enough money to meet the debt service. And that's why the Swiss bank is in trouble and a lot of other banks are in trouble. So this is just the beginning. And the worse it gets, the better it is for us. The worse it is. I said this last seminar, which was in January, all the indices, and we go over this pretty much in detail tomorrow, all the indices are down. But QLA is up 125%. Up 125%. And but it is going to be transformational. And the things that you're going to learn here that you ostensibly already know because you read and listened to everything I've ever produced, will change your life only if you take it seriously. And as I've told the first 6 people that I've seen today, unfortunately, most of you don't take it seriously. But then again, you've never taken anything seriously. Again, that's why you're here. And there's certain concepts that I will discuss during the week that I repeat, depending on how the group, between 50 and 100 times. I will say the exact same thing. And you'll think it's the movie when the same thing happens over and over again. Back to the Future. No. Yes, exactly. You'll think that's what it is. These guys in front, and this one gal will think, God almighty, he said that yesterday, or he said it 15 minutes ago. He said it an hour ago. He said it 3 hours ago. The exact same thing. Because you'll be right. It will be the exact same thing. And why do I continue to say it? Because it doesn't resonate with you. We had a young lady, this young lady. We got two gals. Yeah, this young lady. I mentioned a couple of things, and she said, I thought about that. High performance people don't think about it. They take action. Certain ethnicities in this room, QLA is going to be harder. Certain professions in this room, QLA is going to be harder. The electrical engineer, right? There's only one fuse on this motherfucker. There's only one dot. You don't have to connect anything. All you have to do is run towards the gunfire and kill everybody, metaphorically speaking. That's the only thing you got to do. Yet most of you will find it not impossible, but extremely difficult. We're not going to ask the question why. We know the question why. Okay, we know there are no whys in this seminar. There's only hows. But to transgress back to the first seminar I gave, which is 30 years ago this coming May, my 30th anniversary is coming up, is that you rather be liked than effective. And we all know who trained you like that, right? In some cases, parents. In some cases, parents and religion. In some cases, parents, religion, and ethnicity. Did they go out of their way to want to fuck your life over? Probably not. In some cases, they did. Because we've had some real sociopaths, parents. Now, we're fortunate this week, or unfortunate, depending on how you want to look at it. We have a second generation devotee in the audience, which I, helped his dad to a certain extent, which it'll become obvious who it is later on in the week, or maybe tomorrow or tonight, if not already. But we are now getting second generation, which in the 90s or in the early 2000s, I helped their parents, or a parent, and they've now sent their kids here. But your parents didn't do it on purpose, but it doesn't matter if they did it on purpose. They did it. Somebody, 20-year-old German, where are you? Oli, right? I wish I didn't remember, When you have a photographic memory, a lot of people would think it's a blessing, but it's not. Anyway, he said words to the effect, why is he and or Germans cunts? Right? Okay. And I told him, I gave him a long-winded answer, dating back to the Battle of the Somme, World War I. And I know a lot about Germany. 1, I lived there. 2, I went to school there. 3, I was with Siemens for 10 years. There's a right way, a wrong way, and the Siemens way. But I can answer the question whether you're a Sikh, a wannabe Nazi, black, yellow, purple, Vietnamese. It doesn't make any difference, because I've been doing this 30 years for you and 50 years in total. And the world continues to degenerate. And it's going to get much worse. Hopefully, I won't live to be 120 like I say I'm going to, and I won't have to see the real demise. Because the world is coming towards and will arrive at Mad Max. For those of you that saw the Australian movie with Mel Gibson, that's where we're headed. And nobody in this room except who's sitting in this chair is ready for the Mad Max era. Nobody. And that's why the model works so well. Because we are the financial Mad Max. We are the financial Darth Vader. We are the devil of finance. I hope interest rates double from here. When everybody else on the planet, other than QLA devotees, hope that interest rates go back down again. We will never see zero interest rates again in your lifetimes. We will never see interest rates again in the lifetime of the planet. For 10, 12 years, we suffered, and that's not the right word. We prospered with the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years. Who took advantage of it? Nobody in this fucking room. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And why didn't you take advantage of it? Well, we're going to go in depth, ad nauseum, as they say. But again, you can thank your parents. So the first hurdle you have to get over, I don't give a fuck if you get over any of the hurdles. My reputation, my legacy is set. But the first hurdle I would highly recommend, and when I say highly recommend, I say, listen to you black, yellow, purple, mongoloid fucking idiot. If you don't do this, you're brain dead. I would recommend that you get over the hurdle of your parentage first. I love when I see some of you have written, I had a good relationship with my parent. That's why you're here. I feel sorry for you. How's your program worked out so far? Huh, morons? We're blessed or cursed. We got a couple of Sikhs. We got. I think one pretend Sikh who's not wearing this thing. But we're going to see if that's good or bad. I already know what it is, but I'm not going to tell you. We got a couple of slags. Squat the peers, women. The program is easier for women if they take advantage of it. Now, I don't mean to fuck your way to the top either, although we've had a couple of those too. You're here because this is the last town. Let's just assume the earth's flat. Most of you live like the earth's flat. We're the last town, we're in the last saloon, the last bar, on the last city before you go over in the abyss. You've tried any other motherfucking thing known to man, the devil, Allah, Buddha, and you failed at it, or you didn't succeed like you wanted to. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. There's no rhyme or reason for you to come to listen to an old man, psychopath like me, scream and berate you. I don't hit you anymore, but I used to hit you if your program is working out even just a little. You have failed. So we're all starting from the same level. Failure. So don't forget that. I'll remind you, believe me. Every night, except graduation night, we have homework. After I get done pontificating here, then we'll go to eat, and then after eating, we'll come back, and I'll get up here and talk a few minutes. Not about the homework you're about to have, but you're going to see films. Some short films, 6 to 8 minutes, some long films over an hour. And it's your duty to type, no handwritten stuff, type on your laptop, your cell phone, whatever, your responses to the questions about the films. What was the takeaway? What were they really trying to do? Et cetera, et cetera. If you don't do that, don't come to class tomorrow morning. I'm not interested that you forgot your laptop. I'm not interested that your cell phone didn't work and didn't have reception. Because all the rooms that you're in have reception. I'm not interested that the dog ate your homework. If you don't do the motherfucking homework, don't show up. Lunchtime tomorrow, I will read your homework. I don't have breakfast with you for a reason. I don't have lunch with you for a reason. And only Sally makes me have dinner with you because I don't like your looks. Poorness rubs off. When we talk about your family, fine, don't make any of the changes, sweet pea. I don't give a fuck. I couldn't give a shit less. Did your husband say it was going to be like this? No, he didn't, did he? Otherwise, you wouldn't have come, right? Her husband was here in, I think, January. Now you're thinking, bastard, why didn't he tell me? I could have bought a new dress or whatever you buy. And I will read the homework, and by 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I will know how many of you really read any of the material, because I will be able to ascertain from reading your answers. I will know, and we're going to discuss Succession, the TV thing, and Billionaire later on in the week. But that's the world I live in. A teaser for the next season, the chubby daughter, he says, well, if we hurt Dad, I don't really care. And then I flipped it to the next channel, but I don't know what they were talking about. I don't want to know what they were talking about. But that's the world that I'm part of. Not as much today as I was in years gone by, but I certainly understand that world where most of you don't. A daughter saying, I don't really care if we hurt Dad. Just imagine that. One of the great stories I don't use so much now because there are many more stories. Mary Kay Cosmetics in the United States, founded and run for a lot of years by Mary Kay. And if you were successful in selling her cosmetics, you got a pink Cadillac back in the day. And after she had done it 50, 60 years, she's about 900 years old, she decided to retire and turn it over to her son, who was a weak, mealy-mouthed cunt. He should have had tits and a tampon, okay? And he almost bankrupts it. 56 years of success. He does away with in about 10 months. And so she did a hostile takeover. She fought it in court to take the company back away from her son and bankrupted him and threw him in the gutter. That's the world I come from. All her lawyers and everybody, I didn't know anything about this at the time, said he's not up to the mark. And they were trying to tell her that he's just a worthless piece of shit. But you don't say that. I do. But I mean, he's not up to the mark. He's not anything like you. Blah, 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 blah. And boy, did she find out the hard way. But Mom, I hope springs eternal. But she made a decision quickly. It would take you 4 or 5 years of spreadsheets to decide to fire your son and humiliate him and leave him for dead in the gutter. You'd still be doing spreadsheets because you'd rather be liked than effective. You'd rather be liked than effective. So I change the seminar daily based on what I think or know based on your homework. And again, I'm not interested why. There's no whys. There's only hows. And the how will be you being escorted off the estate if you don't turn in your homework. I can promise you that. There's only a couple promises in the seminar. That's one of them. I said last, I'm not interested if you don't like the food. Although we go at great lengths with a cordon bleu chef and staff. In the 90s, it's rumored, I will neither confirm nor deny this, that I gave Jews non-kosher food, and I gave Muslims non-halal food. Nobody died. Nobody got sick. Although I did give people peanuts that told me they had a peanut allergy in the 90s, and they almost died. Because I don't believe in any of that shit. Okay. Now, whether I'm going to do that this week or not, it depends. But I know it's a load of shit. And I know that some of you, the dietary, I just get a life. I don't see any Arnold Schwarzeneggers in the audience. I see nothing but pencil neck cunts that should be using tampons. And one of the things, you're going to hear it a bunch of times this week, they've got new commercials on. It's 1850s or 1750s and it's a palace environment, and there's a woman that said something about, oh, I'm a mess down here today. I get closer to the TV, and I got a TV of about 90 inches. She's talking about her period started. And then the butler comes in, Duncan, with her tampons. And they're biodegradable. I think that's so fucking insulting. But that's where we are, because we are cunts. We used to have vaginal cream on their desks, except for the gals. We used to show you how to put it on. That's where we are, because you're cunts. 98% of the successful people in the world are introverts, mainly because 98% of the world are introverts. You don't have to be an alpha male or an assertive person to make this work. It makes it slightly easier. Now, we're going to talk about this later in the week. About 2 seminars ago, we had a psychotic breakdown where the police came, and it's a German. They drug him away. Did he hit you, MI5? Not quite, but okay, you tried. We've had people, about 3 or 4 seminars, shit their pants all the way into the toilet, on the floor, into the toilet right here. 3 or 4 years ago, Brian Rose used to say, I don't believe that people shit their pants, pass out, throw up, etc. So he was sitting where the second from the end seat, and the guy, in the end seat, and this is before Corona where we didn't have the spacing. So he was sitting much closer, and that guy threw up and went into a seizure and passed out, throwing up on Brian Rose's brand new suit that he just got from my tailor. So he believes that happens. We had people collapse. The seminar doesn't stop, by the way. We just keep rolling. But we hadn't had a psychotic breakdown in a couple of years. That's how I measure my effectiveness. If you like me when you leave here, I did something wrong. If you hate me, I did almost everything right. Because I'm going to tell you to leave your wives. No, I'm not going to tell you to leave her. I'm going to tell you the most successful. Some moron in the audience is going to ask me, what are the traits of the most successful? Left your wife, your children, one-way ticket, never go home. And it's all true. And I can just look by the look on your faces how that would be intolerable. I'm sure I could find another word. But you ask me and I'll tell you. Most of you should have never been born. You should have rolled down the inside of your mama's leg. But instead of one of those 400,000 or 500,000 sperms that made its way to glory. When I ask you in your paperwork, what's the highest performance thing you've ever done? What's the highest performance thing your partner or wife or whatever you call them has ever done? Your brothers or sisters. And when it's 0, 0, 0, and 0, how can you be anything other than you shouldn't have been born? What value have you brought to this planet of 8 billion people? None. Duncan?